Welcome to the Stretching and Shrinking Review for Test 2. Number 1 reads, Gina is an architect. She designed a house and made a model of it to show her client. Below is an illustration of the model and some measurements Gina knows. So we see this box here that has the height of the door for the model, the height of the door for the actual house, the height of the building for the model, and we don't know the height of the building for the actual house. Letter A reads, what is the scale factor from the model to the actual house? Now, since this is a model of the house, we know that they're similar, so we will have or will be able to determine a scale factor. So to find the scale factor, we have to make sure that we are comparing the right things. We want to compare the height of the door on the model to the height of the door for the actual house. So 6 times some number is going to give us 84, and that same number times 24 would give us the height of the building. But all we need is that number. 6 times what is 84, because that is our scale factor. So how do we find that? We simply do 84 divided by 6. So we find that our scale factor is 14. Now B is talking about what we were just alluding to up here. It says what will be the height of the actual house, and it says show your work. So we want to know this right here. So if 6 times 14 is 84, we're going to use the same scale factor to figure out the actual house. So we have the original height, the model, times the scale factor. Since we're not dealing with area, we're just dealing with one direction, which would be the same thing as perimeter. So original height times scale factor gives you the height of the actual house. And don't forget your units. This is worth 2 points. 1 point for the answer, which includes the units, and then 1 point for showing your work, since we told you to do so right here. So 24 times 14 is good enough to show your work. Alright, C reads, Gina used 1/3 of a square yard of carpeting for 6 of the rooms in the model. How much carpeting will be needed in the actual house for the 6 rooms? Show how you found your answer. So she used 1/3 of a square yard of carpeting in the model, so the original, and we want to know how much carpeting we're going to use for the actual house, all 6 rooms. She used 1/3 for all 6 rooms in the model, so this 6 really doesn't matter. It's just 1/3 of a square yard of carpeting for the model, and then how much for the actual house. So we take the original, we multiply it by the scale factor squared, because carpeting is area, and then we're going to get our answer. The scale factor, we already found that out, so it's just 14, and then we're going to square that. Well, 14 times 14 is 196, and 196 times 1/3, which is the same thing as 196 divided by 3, is 65.3. Now what are we dealing with here? Square yards. We got to remember our units. Square yards. So 65.3 square yards, or yards squared. D reads, Gina used 7 inches of molding to frame a window of the model. How much molding will be needed to frame the same window of the actual house? And it says explain. Well, the first thing I want to say or get down on paper somehow is molding wraps around or surrounds an area. So we're dealing with perimeter for this particular problem. So we want to use the perimeter formula, which is the original perimeter times the scale factor. It's not squared, just a plain old scale factor. Will give you the new perimeter. Well, our original perimeter was 7 because we're using 7 inches of molding to frame the model. Our scale factor was 14, which we already found. So 7 times 14 is 98. So it's going to take 98 inches of molding to frame the actual window of the actual house. Alright, this concludes number 1 for the Stretching and Shrinking Test 2 review.